Welcome to the course Basics Digital Storytelling. Okay, so here we are in Rhino. So this, I just opened it here, and yeah, there was a question before: are we working in the top view or in the perspective? We're actually working in the top. Or so in the perspective, this is the three-dimensional view. With a right click, I can just kind of rotate, and these top, front, right, they are basically these are construction planes. So two-dimensional planes which are glued to these axes. There's the ZX, ZY, and this is XY. So we can actually, in theory, we could choose any of these, but we choose just the top so that all our drawings are drawn in the same plane, let's say. Okay, I'll just modify here a little bit this this view. So I go here under options, and I'll just kind of again remove these grids because they kind of tend to annoy me a little bit. And maybe I'll leave this one here at least. And then appearance, colors, you can change the color of the background. I think actually this color might be okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And okay, and I'll, even though I showed this already now so many times, I will show you again. So I'll show you just kind of how to load again the because I showed you the thing on Monday, again, I will show you how to load the Helsinki base plan. Or so hopefully that is going to be now the last time that I'll show this. So you find the base plan, so this DVG file somewhere locally on your computer. You can just drag and drop it here, and you can just say here open file. Here I have to actually delete this one. Okay, and then it just opens it. And we will just choose, I'll just choose few buildings from there. And I'll transfer them in. Again, this file is a bit big, so hopefully your computers can kind of handle. Okay, and here, well, I kind of leave a little bit to this area here, Kallio. So I'm just going to choose some nice block from around here. This one here I actually like. So yeah, maybe let's take this one. And actually, let's maybe take even a bit more. So I can maybe just, for example, select. So there's a difference with selecting going from right to left and going from left to right. And I hope you already realize this. If I go left to right, only the elements that are completely inside this rectangle will be selected. And if I go from right to left, every element that is touched by this rectangle will be selected. Or so I can kind of choose basically how to select things. So now I'm selecting it in this way because I maybe want a little bit kind of extra things here. And yeah, I go edit, copy. And now I can just go and open a new file, save changes to base plan, no. And just open one of these. Okay, now I'm kind of back here. Just remove this grid again. Okay. And again, there's this issue with the coordinates. Or so if I go just edit, paste, the elements, the drawings are now, they are pasted. They are in the canvas, but they're very far away from this origin. You can see here the coordinates bottom left, the coordinates, but the elements that I just pasted, they're somewhere very far. They're probably somewhere here up. So I have to kind of find them. I can say ZS, which is zoom selected. It's also here. This yellow one here, zoom selected. Okay, now my elements are here. They're still selected, so I don't need, I'm not kind of deselecting anything. You can see the coordinates here are very large. So we need to bring this the origin, just make everything a bit easier when we draw. So I can just say here, move, and then select any point here, maybe this one here. And then I can just type in 0. I can say 0, 0, 0, which are the coordinates of the origin, but if I just type in 0, then this also stands in for origin. I press enter. Now they're all back in this origin, and now I have to go back to them. So I would again say zoom select, so ZS, and now I'm back here. Now they are just here, and I can just move them somewhere where they are convenient for me to draw in, maybe here. Okay, let's see in chat. Is the PDF you showed in the start of the tutorial downloadable somewhere, or is there some commands in AutoCAD? Yeah, so yeah, this is a lecture. Also, I'll show you. So this was a lecture. If you go to my courses, lectures. Here, that's the lecture that I just showed, and page 30 or something, somewhere here. Here it is, yeah. But also, yeah, this text is just copied from a document that I got somewhere from online. You can try to maybe find the original one, or maybe I can give it to you, but it's just here in the lecture, so it should be, yeah, it's here. Okay, so let's go back here. As you can see, as I copied these elements here, sort of everything got copied. Also, I got these lines, and even these the layers got copied. So this is now, these are still kind of the same layers. So this is maybe a good way to start. And I can just kind of clean up a little bit this. So so let's first trim a little bit elements here. So I can, for example, come here and just type in line. So I do like this and maybe like this. And I can just say trim and select these are my trimming elements, spacebar, and then I can just move these ones here. Okay, spacebar again. So now I kind of removed all these extra things. Now I'll just approximately rotate it because, yeah, you know, life is hard. So I just kind of moved it or rotated. Actually, I can. So choosing the rotation is kind of not trivial, but maybe this is a very nice view. Potentially, this is a very nice view to have. Okay, and now maybe these roads are a bit too much, so I don't need them. And yeah, this is also something weird here. I would delete. Oh no, I will leave it. Okay, so let's actually take. So these I can actually use as these roads here. I can use kind of later as sort of as a kind of a reference. If you remember, there's a command called. Let me just see. There's a command called Boolean. Just do this quickly. Called Boolean union. Sorry, curve Boolean. So I can just select here, say curve Boolean, and now I can sort of select here. I'm sorry for that. This is kind of the views a little bit. This yellow is a bit kind of killing. I can sort of select now surfaces that are these kind of roads. I can sort of just merge them, something like this. Yeah, this yellow is a bit killing, but well, just for this, I can maybe change the background. Okay, and then here, maybe like this. And let's not be too hard to see here where this is going, but maybe something like this. Okay. Good, and this is now in the default layer, so I can just remove the roads. Somehow the select last. Yeah, okay. Well, this one kind of bleeded out. Okay, but in principle, I can sort of it kind of went out. Why actually? Okay, but I can in theory use this command to sort of merge some of these lines and surfaces. Actually, I can change the appearance a bit to darker gray. Okay. Okay, let's actually take this one out. This I don't need. And these one here are kind of on the coastline. Okay. Let's take one of these buildings, maybe this one here. And maybe I want to draw it kind of separately, or so so I can change this layer. I can say if you change layer to default, now we are here, and then I can maybe, well, maybe actually I have to define a height, or so I do this with basically choosing a line and just drawing a height line in any direction. And again, this is a decision that you have to make. In which direction will your buildings be extruded in a way? So maybe if I do something like this and then say rotate, so maybe to some kind of a round number, which is 30, 60. Okay, maybe I do kind of 60. So you don't need to use round numbers, but I'll just do it because it's just kind of easier for me maybe to yeah, later to kind of sometimes I just like to use round numbers because then just makes everything easier. I don't have arbitrary number, but it's somehow a number that is rounded up. I'll save this just so that you have it. I'll also give it to you later. I'll just save it here. Just see. Okay, I will call it just city block or something like that. 221 10 0 city block. City block drawing. Okay, yeah, we can kind of see on it now. Kind of, I can type in, for example, copy. So I can copy this line, and basically this is my height line. So if my building has the same height everywhere, that means I'm just kind of copying this all over my drawing in all of these kind of corners. Just remove this center here. Okay, and now I can copy basically the whole floor plan, or so I can just say here, copy this floor plan, and I just go height up. Okay, now I'll do kind of a few other things. I will copy paste this, and I will use here under options, there's something called modeling aids, and there's a nudge. So I'll just say I'm using arrow keys, and nudge key maybe gives me like 1 millimeter, I'm not sure. Okay, that's maybe a little bit too little. Maybe nudge key gives me 10 or something like that. Okay, so I can now go with my arrow keys to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, if I do it like this, I can always go kind of 5 on the right, and I can sort of keep different versions of my building. Of course, now here it's a little bit hard to see even more sort of what's happening because things are overlapping, but this is the bottom one and this is the top one. Or so I'll just try to trim everything. So this line, for example, we don't see. This one we don't see either. And let me just do quickly a few things that we don't see. This one we don't see. And yeah, so now you basically can kind of sort of start a little bit cleaning up your drawing. So again, I'm using trim to kind of trim these extra lines, and I'm starting to kind of a little bit actually, yeah. Again, trim. So again, there's I wouldn't say there's no good way to kind of do this. There is, of course, but it's always it's kind of you have to just kind of be able to see a little bit what's sort of happening. Okay, I think that's actually it. Yeah, now I have these kind of volumes, or just kind of one volume. Then I can copy paste this again. So I can say edit, copy, edit, paste, and go again with arrow key 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Where did I go? Something like this. If someone is asking if the line behind does not touch the one in front, can you trim part of it away? They should wrote about the Telegram. Yeah, I didn't actually quite get that question. Yeah, I didn't quite get that question. You would have to. I read your Telegram, but I didn't really understood what was meant. I think you have to really show me, ideally on Monday. Just kind of share your screen, and then I can have a look. Yeah, but basically, if you have two lines and they intersect, you can always. So you know, very easily, if I have lines, and so if this happens, then this I can always trim. Or so I can always kind of take this line here, say trim, select the cutting line, and do this. I think maybe your question was, is it possible to do this? I'm not sure. Like you see, trim, you can say this is a trimming line, and now I want to trim these ones. Yeah, this doesn't really work. So they have to actually intersect. But I can do the opposite. So one other command that I didn't show you, you can do extend. So that's the opposite of trim. So there's like trim and extend somewhere. So I can say extend, and then this is the boundary. Then I can kind of make, if I click here, I'm kind of sort of extending the lines here. Okay, so I just want to quickly, I want to just kind of quickly draw sort of, I want to sort of quickly draw like some kind of a roof here. It's actually going to be a bit hard to draw a roof. But I'll give it a go. So, you know, maybe a roof goes. Actually, I can try to just see. Yeah, let's try to draw a roof. First, I'm just trying to kind of construct a roof here. Maybe something like this. So I'm doing it all a little bit approximate here because I just want to kind of prove that you can also work in sort of, not really work in an approximate way, but you can sort of, I wouldn't say things should not be precise, but somehow sometimes you just don't have enough information to do things. So it's fine to kind of wing them a little bit. Okay, ideally you would actually have a look how this roof kind of looks in real. Also, for example, this one I can extend. Here I can maybe trim. Okay, again, what you don't see is my hand pressing the space bar, so that's why I'm able to cut all of these. Okay, and okay, perfect. And now we need sort of we need to kind of decide how these details look like, but we need to also decide the height of the roof. So the roof this height needs to be extruded in the same direction. So maybe I can do something like this one. I can just copy and I extrude here, and then I have to just make a decision how big my roof is. So you can use the command called split, which enables you to click here on the point. You can just find a point somewhere here. And you can split that line. And maybe the roof is not too high. Maybe I split it here. Perfect. I can just delete this part. Okay, this is maybe my roof height. So everywhere where the roof is at this height, I can kind of copy that line. That is sort of my kind of a reference. So this may be a ridge line. Now, again, this is sort of a construction, so I have to always be a bit careful. Okay, now what else do I see? Well, these lines exist. This line exists as well. This one exists as well. And maybe this is at the same height. And maybe this is also at the same height. Okay, actually extend to this point here. Hop. Okay. And yeah, and then now there are other lines that kind of naturally appear from here. So again, I don't really know how this detail here of the roof looks like, but maybe something like this. And this one is just kind of inclined one side. There's a rectangle here as well. And yeah, kind of something a bit off. Well, this ridge line also exists. And then this also exists. And yeah, there's something potentially a little bit kind of weird happening here, but we can also just pretend like this part of the roof doesn't exist. So maybe this line doesn't exist, but the roof just kind of ends here. You just have to see how this really looks like. But let's for now kind of just imagine the roof looks like this. So I'll do again, edit, copy, edit, paste. And again, I use this nudge command, so I can just go with my arrow key somewhere here. Looks like similar distance. So again, this nudges, if you go here under options, modeling aids, and then nudge, and then you can kind of set it up here that it uses arrow keys. Okay, now we're going to remove the kind of the lines that we don't see. So actually this height we don't see, this projection of this ridge line we don't see, this we also don't see, and here we can just trim, say trim this one here. Okay, this one I can copy. Copy from here to here, maybe. Perfect. So I can say trim, trim. Okay. Here I can also say trim. Too much. Trim. Hop, hop, hop. Okay. And of course, I hope you understand that you can use Control Z, or so Control Z is this undo. So, I mean, that's kind of standard in all the software. You can always undo things. So that's why I'm kind of going also quickly back. And let me just finish up this one a little bit here, here, here. Okay, so now this is a bit of a extend to here. Okay. I just, yeah. Okay, so now we have some kind of lines here, kind of a roof. And I want to just show you kind of how you can sort of give a bit of a texture to the roof. Again, this is a bit complicated roof, but it doesn't really matter for our case. Again, Control C, Control V, and with the nudge, I can just kind of move it here. I want to show you again how to do this sort of, let's say, roof line. So we can choose to make the roof in, we can choose to make it, for example, in, we can choose to kind of make it in this direction. So I can do roof like this, or I can do it the opposite, or I can do kind of the roof lines that go in this direction here. Copy. And so on. So I have to basically just make a decision, and maybe we do this one that I just showed. Yeah. Yeah, let's make that one. Okay, so, and I want to have them at kind of regular intervals. So maybe I can kind of I can kind of extend this line a little bit. Let me just say there's a line here. Oh, actually, let's do, okay. And just extend this line a little bit. These are the boundaries here and here a little bit. Okay. And now I can, somehow I have two lines here. Extend. Okay. So I can use an offset. Offset command, it's also somewhere here on the left. I'm basically moving I'm kind of offsetting the line for a certain amount. And here I just kind of have distance 1 because why not? And I can just kind of keep on offsetting that line. So it just basically moves the line in a certain direction. Just to show you in general how offset works. So I can have, for example, a rectangle, and I can say offset, and I can offset this rectangle to either toward inside or toward the outside. And this works actually for any shape. So if I do a polyline and I draw something that is a bit irregular like this, I can do again offset here. I can click on the distance and just choose the different number. But otherwise, here's now set to 1. So I can just repeat this and offset something toward inside or outside. So it works for closed as well as for open lines. And the good thing is that then the distances between these lines are whatever I defined in my offset or. So from here to here, it's 1, and here it's also 1 or. So the distances between lines are then kind of fixed. Okay, and maybe this offset is a little bit too slow, so I can just select these and say copy from here to here, and just kind of continue doing this. Again, there are sometimes faster ways to do these kind of large arrays. You can maybe do a hatch and then explode it or something like that. Here I'm just doing it like this. Okay, and then I can kind of trim now. I can say I'm trimming from here to here, and I'm just kind of now cleaning up these lines. It's very satisfying. It's almost like kind of cutting somebody's hair. Okay. Yeah, and there's always questions kind of what is the fastest way to do something? That's a good question. There's always sometimes you can kind of, yeah, there's always a little bit of a faster way maybe of doing things, but sometimes it takes you too long to find it out. So you need to kind of have a lot of experience, but I would say you don't worry about doing things fast, just kind of give your best and you will learn as you kind of go along. Okay, so this is, for example, that guy, save, and maybe we can do something similar in this direction, but here the question is the line is more like something like this. So I can just say offset. Okay, here they kind of align more or less. So I can just kind of say in this direction, I can just kind of go automatically. And I just want to also show you there's also a very useful command. If you, for example, if you draw certain lines, they come on top of each other for whatever reason. So for example, I have this line here. I just copy paste it and it's on the same place. And I just don't realize this. So if I click on this line, you can see now I can select sort of two lines. Sometimes you can have this doubling of geometry. That's actually a bit annoying, but you can avoid this by, or you can find these duplicate lines by just saying select dup. So select duplicates, and it will basically find all the lines or all the geometry that is somehow duplicated or over on top of each other, and then you can just kind of delete it all. Okay, so select it like this. Okay, actually there are a few other things that I would like to show you. So for example, we want to draw this facade here. So yeah, actually let's finish this one up. So something like this. I just realized that maybe this direction is not correct. So we have to always be kind of careful with the direction of these inclinations. And I'll show you a little bit what I mean on this other side. I want to show you a few other things, not just work on this kind of roof, because it takes a bit of a while. If this is a roof, the inclination is basically this one here. Or so I can just say here, offset in this direction. I can put a little bit of line here, up, extend. Okay, this is the correct direction for this roof. And of course, here it gets kind of okay. Here, of course, it gets cut because this plane is just it's kind of cutting these lines in this way. So I always have to be kind of careful to know exactly which parts or what is the direction of my elements. And then if I'm consistent, you can make a drawing that actually looks, I mean, realistic, but it's also readable. You can kind of read what is happening. And on the other side, it's actually, you have exactly the opposite thing happening. But I can just copy this, or I can go like this. Copy this line. So sometimes I can kind of help myself like this. Say offsets. I say distance. I can even measure the distance. Or so I can say I'm measuring the distance. This is going to be my offset, and I can just kind of continue doing that. Of course, now I have a. Now they're going a bit in the wrong direction, but it doesn't matter because I can just say extend to this line, hop, 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 hop. And like this. Okay, this one doesn't exist. And I just want to finish this up. Okay, so this is maybe a little bit, yeah, I just realized that yeah, something weird is happening here. So these lines are probably wrong. I have to improve that a little bit. Okay, I want to show you how to do the facade here. So so I can just take these two lines of the facade. Actually, maybe this line. Well, yeah, this line and this line here, and I can just kind of copy paste them here. I want to kind of draw the facade more, so I can kind of split this one at the point here and here. These ones I can just delete them, and maybe I can just redraw this line like this. Okay, so these are like two lines from my facade, and I want to rotate them so they are rectangle, they are kind of orthogonal. Okay, so rotate this one vertical and rotate this one like this. Okay, so this is how my facade needs to look like. I can just draw a triangle or rectangle here, and here it is. Okay, so that's my facade. And now there are a few things that I can do. I can actually select this, and for example, I can say explode. Now I have segments. I have this line here, and let's say I want to divide this in. So before I use the offset, so I had to specify the distance between lines, but maybe I just want to somehow work in a different way. Maybe I want to divide this line in whatever 8 parts. So I can select the line. I can say divide. It's also very useful. A number of segments, maybe 8. Okay. And now I got points here. Also, now I can kind of do the same what I did before. I can just copy paste this sort of a substructure to it. Okay, and maybe I can do the same thing here. I can say divide, maybe less segments, so maybe 3. Okay, so now I got something like this. Okay, so this is how I can kind of divide lines and get sort of get maybe a bit of more yeah, be a bit maybe faster kind of how I work. Now let's say I just want to put some let's say I just want to put some kind of windows here. So maybe I'll draw just one window. This one goes here. I select it and I say offset. And yeah, one, why not? Okay, so it's like this. So I offset this window that I had, and I'll just kind of copy paste everywhere. And this is not maybe the nicest window, but for our purposes, it might work. Okay, and yeah, well, again, this is a bit of a kind of a facade that is a bit on the uglier side, but why not? And yeah, maybe we do a few more things. So maybe I can go take this line here. I can say split at the point, maybe here and here. Now I have this line, and this one I want to divide by maybe 5. Okay, and now I can kind of start creating. So I'm basically now drawing how this facade looks like. It's kind of a modern facade, whatever. Let's see how this looks like if I delete these ones here. Okay, doesn't look. Let's just leave it. Okay, so maybe this is a little bit kind of how I want my facade to look like. And let's do a few more things. Let's actually delete these two. Let's draw another rectangle. There's a question. I'll take it, offset this one here toward in, and then I'll just say kind of copy. Maybe I do it like this. Doesn't really work. Okay. Okay, so I'm basically just kind of using some construction techniques to construct this facade. Quite well. Okay, and now I want to kind of finish this off. I want to sort of glue this facade onto or want to project it basically on this side of the building. And let's try to do that. So first I want to select the elements that go on the facade. So it's not everything, but actually just copy paste this. And I'll again just use this nudge. So we select some extra elements like these points. They don't need them. These points as well. Yeah, maybe there are extra lines that I might not need, but basically now, because these are all now separate lines, if I start moving them around, I might start losing them. So it's sometimes good to group things. Also, you can select everything. You can go under Edit, Groups, Group. You can also use Control G. It's very, very convenient. And if you do that, now this becomes one group. So now when I select it, you just select everything at the same time. I think if I double click, nothing happens, but I can kind of ungroup it. Also, I can go Edit, Group, Ungroup. Also now they become kind of again separate. But let's say this facade, I want to just keep it as it is. Maybe I have it also somewhere else, so I just kind of keep it as a group. I can go Edit, Group, and group it. Okay, I can again go copy paste, just go here, and now I want to just project. Let's see how to do that. So usually I would do something like this. Then I would say rotate. So now I have to kind of put it back where I got it from, like this. And just see if you remember how it did. Now everything is a bit kind of skewed, but this doesn't really matter. I should be able to do it, so I can take this one. What's the difference between group and join? Also between explode and ungroup? Yeah, so that's a good question. So it's yeah, these are kind of subtle, but so if I have a rectangle, now this is not a group. This is actually a polyline, or this is now a polyline, which I can explode. So I can destroy the polyline into its component parts. Actually, let's go back. Or so now I have, this is now a closed curve. It's a polyline. I can paste it, put it here. I can explode it. Okay. So when I explode it, I get individual lines, and then now I can group them. I just write in group. And now these seem very similar. So, but one of them is a kind of a closed curve, and this is a group. So if I, for example, and again, the differences may be subtle. So I can do, for example, ungroup. I can change the direction of these lines by kind of flipping them here, for example. And then if I group them, now if I check their direction, you can see the directions are whatever I said before. But if I have a closed polyline, then the directions need to always, there's always a start and the end. So they somehow look, they look kind of similar, but they're not really the same. Or one of them is a collection of lines, and the other one is somehow a polyline. And the cool thing about polylines is that these directions of the curves, they are always continuous. Or so the end of one line is the beginning of the other line. And again, in our cases, this doesn't really matter too much, but somehow when you go a little bit into details, they start to matter. So there's a kind of a subtle difference between group and join. Also, you can always group elements together. For example, I can have a circle. Okay, I can have a circle, and I have a circle, and I have this rectangle. I can always group them together. So now this is a group, and I can move it around, same as before. But I can now ungroup, but I cannot join these two. There's no way to join. If I say join, it will say these cannot be joined because they're somehow, it's not really clear how they should join. So I can join kind of lines that have endpoints that are at the same place, but these are just two separate objects that are just on top of each other. Or so that's I hope that explains a little bit the difference. There are some other ones. You can create, for example, a block, which is also, it's like a object which is the same. So you can copy it around, and then you can do it here. It's like edit block. So you can kind of create a block which is sort of a same object, but it's copied many times. So I can then modify one object, and it would actually modify all the other ones that are copied. Or that's kind of the trick, which is very useful if you think about, for example, if you're drawing something like this, you can say I have a window, and the windows is always the same, and now I copy it around. Now I want to change that window because I remember that I want to add a detail. I can do this by kind of modifying the block, and the block will then update in the whole drawing. So there are some useful ways, for example, working. Okay, I just realized that I went over the time, so I'll just try to finish this one really quickly. So I can do scale 1D, go from here to here. I hope this will now work. Okay, and then I can use, if you remember, shear from, I forgot already. I'll just go from here to here, and hop. And now it should kind of fit exactly here. Okay, so this is basically how, so basically when you're drawing these, you should always try to draw facades kind of in this view, because it's just easier than most of the facades are sort of orthogonal, windows are rectangles and so on. You can quickly copy things around, kind of, you can also start adding details here and so on. But then basically we just use this method to sort of just glue it or kind of project it in its correct position back on the facade. And yeah, and then just a minute. Yeah, I guess I have to kind of finish, but I just want to show you, I want to show you sort of super quickly how you can, no, actually, I'll leave it for some other time. Let me just see actually in this cheat sheet if there's some other commands that I wanted to show: distance, duplicate edge, fillet. Fillet, maybe I'll just show that also quickly. So for example, I can create a rectangle and I want to kind of fillet the corners, or so there's a command called fillet. And then I could choose kind of radius, maybe 1 is okay. And I would just kind of click on two sides, on two corners, and they will sort of just, I could kind of round them up. Or I can then choose, for example, a different radius, maybe 2. Now this one will have a bigger radius. I can do, there's another command called chamfer. And this is the same, but it is, it's the same, but it's kind of a, it does the, wait, second chamfer is 1, okay? So I can kind of do this, or so I can kind of cut it off. And here distances, maybe it's like I can have the difference of, for example, 2 and 1. And if I go here, now I kind of have a bit of an asymmetrical cutting off. So this you can use to sort of quickly sort of like modify geometry. I think I can just select everything and say chamfer. I think I can just say enter. No, it doesn't work. I thought I can kind of do it faster. Somehow it doesn't work. But I think there should be a way to actually do faster. Just don't know exactly. I'll have to check exactly how. Okay, so you can use that. And just quickly go through some of the commands here. A group on group, line I showed, make 2D I will show some other time that you need to work with three-dimensional geometry. Mirror, I think I showed once. So mirror is just mirroring the object. So for example, I can select this one. I can say mirror. Then I select the kind of mirroring plane. And that's it. I kind of get the same thing. It's just mirrored. I can, of course, do mirror in this direction. And again, very useful because I can start creating kind of symmetrical things, or so things can kind of start becoming yeah, I can kind of use symmetry. I can exploit symmetry in the designs. And let me just go super quickly to the end. Offset, select duplicate, show hide, scale I showed, split I showed, text trim, zoom selected. Yeah, so yeah, scale in general just works. You know, I can select. I use always scale 1D, but I can just scale things, or I can just say scale, and I can just kind of make it bigger or smaller. Or I can just say, for example, 0.5. Okay. Scale, and then here, and then I say 0.5, and then now this is sort of exactly the half of the original one. So maybe that's useful or not. I can kind of use that as well. And how they draw a balcony here. Let's say one of these is actually a balcony. So I would just kind of extrude this. Or so now the question is, how do I extrude it? I need a reference line. So it's probably this line here, but again, I have to make, because this line might not be the direction of extrusion. I have to be careful. It all depends on this. Yeah, because you see here, this line is not perpendicular to the street. So I have to somehow find, I can find this line. Look, I can find this line. How do I find this line? Because I didn't rotate this plan. Yeah, it's basically just perpendicular to the, yeah, this is the direction of extrusion, I think. So if I have here, you know, how my balcony go, it would be perpendicular to this line, and I didn't rotate. In this case, I didn't rotate the plan, so it's still the same as here. So this is my direction of extrusion. So I just have to be careful. And again, and this direction is different than this line here. Also, I have to be just careful when I'm I just have to be careful kind of how I'm extruding. So I'll just move this line. For example, let's move. I go, for example, here. And now, of course, the balcony is maybe not this long, but maybe it's a bit shorter. So I'll say split at the point. And again, I can measure this because this is a plan. Then, well, actually, I can do it precisely. So again, circle. I'm doing this in plan. So this is actual distance in plan. Maybe balcony is 1 meter, but actually, I don't know what this. I don't really know what the units here are, so I have to check that. I guess I'm not sure if this is 10 meters, to be honest, but could be. Let's just do it approximately, or so I can just split this. And at the point, maybe somewhere here, split, point here, enter. Okay, now I have 2 parts. Okay, and now, I mean, this looks very weird, but I think this is how it should look like, okay? And yeah, then now I kind of start closing this off. So now I'm kind of drawing I'm drawing something that is extruding out of this, let's call it a window, and actually copy this. So yeah, those of you who need to go, just kind of go. I'm just trying to do this, a few of these questions. Copy paste again with nudge. I moved somewhere approximately here. Not so bad. And yeah, actually maybe this one I'll just delete from this drawing. So I'll try to do wrap this drawing up and also give it to you. Okay, and now here I want to, kind of the question is, you know, how does my balcony look like? So I'm kind of I need a reference picture, or in this case, I might just kind of design it a little bit. Maybe my balcony looks like this. So I do something like trim. Is this correct? Yeah, sorry, I have to just, I want to be very sure that this line is correct. Yeah, I don't see actually where these mids are here. Int mid. Yeah. You have to be a bit careful when you draw. Okay, we have something like this, and I can say trim this one. Okay. Well, you know, some balconies have this because they're kind of they have to be held or something like this, but actually, yeah. Oh, let's delete this. Looks very weird. Okay, so I have kind of sort of my balcony here. And then I would just need to, maybe if I want to make it full, I basically need to ungroup this. And now I have to start trimming it. Or so I would say trim. And I have to kind of start doing it. So this line doesn't exist. This line doesn't exist. This one doesn't exist. And I'm trying to wrap my head around. Okay, maybe like this. Now, of course, okay, extend. Okay, now, of course, it all depends on how I want to show this. Wrong. Yeah, well, it all depends on kind of how I want to show this this balcony. So, does this line exist or not? Actually, maybe it's a bit weird. Let's put it back how it was. Okay, so but basically now I kind of drew the balcony. You can see there's a kind of volume protruding out, and this is sort of a window or something like this. And then I can actually copy this geometry also. I can take this and I can, for example, group it, and then I can just copy it to, yeah, maybe there are more balconies here, but then I would have to kind of do the trimming again. So somehow I lost now 1 point, but you get, okay. And then if I start trimming, then kind of copy this one by using maybe this one here as a reference here. Perfect. And now I would just kind of need to trim to kind of to delete all these, and I basically get, I mean, this is really, I'm constantly tilting my head in this view. Okay, so this is how you kind of do balconies, or so they're just volumes that stick out, but they're kind of just drawn according to these rules of projection.